for that icebreaker as we transition into the real conversation today. And I said it, but today we're going to be talking about what women want to know from men. The reason why we decided to talk about this today is because it's extremely important. As a community, as a village, I think that that is the only way that we are going to be able to grow and bridge that gap between how women think and how they feel with us, the counterparts, right? So just finding cohesiveness and continuing to strengthen that bond. So what we've done is we've polled our village, our community, and we have a bowl of questions right here, as you can see. We're going to go around, we're going to ask, we're going to pull these and give you some true, unfiltered truth because that is what you guys are seeking. And so you requested it, we're providing.
If I could, man, just context, because it wasn't in my space to know that there was a gap, because I've been married for about 15 years, right? But it was presented to us by the ladies that's still standing in terms of the theory about like, yo, there's a gap between black men and women. So the ask he talking about is really coming from y'all, right? Realizing that like, oh damn, I didn't even realize there was a gap between us. And you asking to close the gap is a major thing for us, which is why we're doing this, so that like you said, Sean, like to close the gap to men families, to men relationships, to bring us together so that we can be aligned and do what we need to do in this society, man. Real talk.
And I'm gonna tell you why I'm terrified of this segment right now. Because some of the questions on here are from some people I don't know. But a lot of them are from people we do know, including my wife. And we want to be transparent as we always are in this community, but I don't know what questions came from who. So it's going to be interesting.
So if you see a question that says, so when Colin does this, you'll know what it is. And so just so that you all understand, as you can see, we actually have two bowls, right? So we have this bowl that is filled to the brim, which are the questions that we're going to be pulling from. And then we have we have some questions that we will save for later content. These are the more juicy, more hot, more salacious.
All them expressions.
Yeah.
And that's for Patreon.
Yeah.
We ain't doing that for the
But the crazy thing is, which is why I truly pray that we are able to answer in truth and sincerity, because as you can see, even though the general questions far outweigh what will be discussed on Patreon, there are some genuine concerns out here that women have. Yeah. But we encourage you all to continue to send in questions so that we can fill this up at some point. Because we will do it again.
I'm surprised at the level of the questions, right? I thought they would be a lot more granular, but they're like these small detailed questions that seemingly to me, small, right? But it seemed like these questions are so detailed, specific, and it's amazing to me that this is what's causing the gap.
Man, I'm right. Can we dig in? I'm like anxious now.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right. So I will do the first. Let me try and grab some on the bottom real quick.
Nervous.
All right. What do men believe women need most from men to feel valued, supported, and understood?
Repeat that.
What do men believe women need most from men to feel valued, supported, and understood?
Oh, I got some. I'm going to say honesty, money, and quality time. Boom. Straight off the dome.
Honesty, money, and quality time.
Yeah, they need to be able to trust you. So that's where the honesty comes in. And we're going to be real. Like, because one of the words like provider or protector or something like that.
Yeah, for men to feel
valued,
for her to feel valued, supported, and understood.
So supported, finances, right? And then that, what was my last one? Quality time. I was gonna say communication, but somewhere like that quality time piece, so y'all can have that. Okay, that time to feel heard.
Anybody else have some bullet point answers?
I sit in this posture. in my own self, right? And I think that one of the things you can do is to always uplift her, right? Um, the smallest things, the smallest affirmations, um, and even if like she didn't look good, like she wake up in the morning, right? And you know her hair ain't done, you know her mouth, you know her she ain't brush her teeth, but you wake up and you tell her she's beautiful, right? You keep adding that on, right? That's bringing value to her, right? And then when you sit there, and I'm learning, right? Every time she talk, she ain't looking for a solution. So when we talk about how do you know if you understand her, I think if you sit in the posture, right, of just receiving her, like receiving the information, right, that is the basis of her feeling like you at least understand her without you trying to like cut her off, figure things out.
Mm. Okay.
As I look at this question, especially considering the context of how we got here, talking about the gap, right? So I'm trying to consider that whatever sister sent this question
That's
in
heavy,
is asking the question from where the gap is.
Yeah.
And as you prefaced earlier, it'd be hard for you to necessarily understand the gap because you've been married for 15 years, married for 15 years. Sean been married for some time now, but was married before. And so, you know me, I'm really the only single one here. So I'm trying to, I know how I want to answer this, but the question is asking, what do men, right? And I think it's men who exist in the gap they're speaking of. So my answer would be that I feel like Yusha feels like women need presence, safety, especially emotional safety, and they need that consistently. So consistency. But I think what she may be getting to is that, like, what is it that men, what's really going on with the brothers out here? And I think if I'm coming from a place of like past experience, before learning and growing and working on healing, and just knowing shit where we come from, I think it be coming down to like, man, you need money or time, and niggas don't be having both money and time.
Well, I disagree with. I mean, honestly, I disagree.
No, add to it, but niggas do be thinking that women just need either money or time. Broke niggas want to give you time. Rich niggas want to give you money.
So maybe I don't disagree hardly, but I think the question also is trying to say, well, I want value, I want to be understood, and I want to feel supported. So, in your presence, in your moment as a single person, how do you think you delivering that as the single person that's standing in the gap? You know what I mean? Like, how are you making sure she feels valued?
I gave my three.
Yeah. Nah, 1,000.
I have two. Right, and I want to preface it by there's a difference between knowledge and application, and so I truly believe that all of men have the knowledge. The problem is that transitioning into the application, right? And so my two is one, to love beyond that. And so that's to love beyond your own personal hurt, to love beyond how she makes you feel or how she may talk down to you, to love beyond your own insecurities or your past experiences, so on and so forth, to allow her to then feel completely loved by you, for her to feel that, right? That's one. Number two, I would say, is for men to get to a point where they are able to understand that sometimes women just want to be listened to and want you to empathize or sympathize with them versus trying to solve something, right? And so I'll say those two things. But then the problem is the application. And so we got to get to a point where men are able to be provided with the tools, or maybe a community of accountability brothers that can elevate them to that space where they can continually apply.
Yeah, like this space. It's about to have a whole toolbox of stuff to kind of help close the gap.
Yep.
And this first question actually sets the tone. As you can see, ladies, we ain't a monolith, even amongst us four. So you're going to get an array of things that could be used.
I ain't that. But by the way, man, I wrote majority of these questions, so.
When he says wrote them, he means like they came in electronic form and we wrote them on the paper.
Because
just for clarity, people might think you actually made the question.
Ego shot.
Right.
Good.
Do men see value in marriage? What exactly do you value about it? I'm gonna read that again, people. Do y'all see value in marriage? And what type of value do you see in that?
That's an easy one for me. Yes, right.
Flat out, we
Obviously,
ain't gotta go.
what do I see the value in it? I mean, just off the top of my head, like, you know, it's a mirror. Like when you in marriage, you bring the best out of each other, right? So it's a process that's going to bring the best out of you, bring you closer to like your purpose and to God. It's the joy of doing life together with your best friend, businesses, and raising families and all of that. Financially, I've said this since we first got married. 2 salaries are better than one in this capitalistic society that we live in. Like, I mean, I don't want to take them off, but yes, it's better if you can do it.
Some people say 3 salaries.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with those responses. I'll just take a different perspective to it and saying, men have the potential. All men have the potential to see value in the marriage. But I'll preface it with, you know, within the Bible, it says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing, right? And it's not he who finds a girl or he who finds a woman and then makes her a wife can turn her into a good thing. It's he who finds a wife finds a good thing. Someone who is already existing and giving off that aura of what it is to be a wife. She is moving and interacting and existing in that space already, and he is drawn to that, right? But then the difference is that all men are different. As you can see, even on this couch, we are not monoliths. You have to identify for your potential desired husband what he values or finds value in and figure out how to exist in that space so he can attach that value to the value of marriage.
You really got to be ready to be a wife.
I was going to say, listen, definitely have a value for marriage. But my brother said the same thing, Ali, in connection to you. He said to me one time, he said, so many people are looking to be married. So many women want husbands. So many brothers want wives. But the question is, brother, are you ready to be a husband? Sister, are you ready to be a wife? And so I don't think there's a lot of people who don't necessarily want marriage. I think people don't necessarily want the responsibility of being a wife or being a husband, right? Those who don't desire it. There are many people who do, me included, right? And I don't mind taking on that work. That's work that I think is noble, I think is godly design. And much like the points that Colin gave, there's so many benefits to union. One of the books that I love, Millionaire Mind, interviews these 100 first-generation millionaires, where most of them got their millions in their 40s, but when they gave suggestions on what really helped them get their millions, the top 3 was a supportive spouse, right? So it's like, if you really want to get to the best level of yourself financially, spiritually, it's definitely in union. But the question is, are you ready to take on the responsibility of being a husband or being a wife? Because it is not a thing that you do to have less responsibility. You know what I'm saying? It's a thing you do to take on a call. Yeah. So,
yes, sir.
let's go through
these ones, man.
See how many we can get done.
All right. What does a man look for when considering a woman to be his wife or life partner? Which is directly connected to the last one. So, what does a man look for when considering a woman to be his wife or life partner?
What you looking for?
Oh, we start with me? If those of you who know me, I got a list of 19 things, man. 19 is a very important number in the universe, which is why I do that. But those things are really spread out across an array of, like, I want her to be financially astute and understand finances. She has to love God and love people. She has to have a heart for people, especially her people. She has to be health conscious and have an understanding of what food does to the body and have an intentional mindset to feed her family, what's going to help them to reach their full maturation. Has to have some business acumen and have an understanding that even if she doesn't have her own business, has to have an understanding of how to support entrepreneurs.
So single ladies out there, you know, if you're looking for a nice, tall, handsome king like this guy, Paul. I ain't no pause, man. You handsome, man. I can say that about my
Look,
brother.
I appreciate that.
If you're looking for that, hey, we'll post it in the description. We have 19 boxes you have to check to even be considered for like I was like, yo.
Talking about the 19 keys.
Yo, because when I heard the question, I was just like, she gotta be attractive, she gotta have a relationship with God, and just generally be a good person. We work out everything else. Like,
Yeah, but you know, I'm one of those people who solidly believe that you get out of life what you say you want. So I'm very intentional about asking. And yeah, you know,
I bet. Speak that blood type into existence.
all right, let's get through. We try to get some more questions with our time. Hey, whatever question we don't get through, we'll bring this segment back. We'll do some more of these. All right. This is interesting. So why is your daughter more important, special than the daughter of another man? Why is your daughter more important, special than the daughter of another man? Is she saying that like how you treat women, like why would you be treating a woman in the way that you would treat your own daughter, or wouldn't another guy treat your own daughter?
I believe so. I believe so.
I can't speak on that.
Yeah,
I think the source of that question is at the end of the day, a man is supposed to provide and support a family regardless of what the bloodline is. And I understand that concept, but that's really hard for men to gravitate to because their natural place of security is who they tied to.
It's hard for this circle to answer this question because like we ain't the type of dude to be out here like really disrespecting women in a way that we wouldn't somebody treat our own daughters, nor do we hang and associate with people like that. So to the person who wrote this question, I would say you may want to consider the spaces that you like are the men you attracting yourselves to, because like we can't relate.
Yeah, and I would say that people can only get away with what you allow them to get away with. Not just man, not just women, but people. So guard your heart and your mind.
Yeah. We going this way.
All right. Come on, give me some.
Sound like we playing numbers.
What are some deal breakers when dating a woman you're planning to settle down and marry? I'll give one. If I ask you to cook while we dating and you don't cook, that's a deal breaker for me.
Can't cook, deal breaker?
No, it's not that you can't cook. It's that you're not willing to cook or try. Yeah, we could work through that. We could work. I cook well enough where we could work through that. But the willingness is the deal breaker for me.
Specific to food or just willingness in general for trying things?
Yeah, willingness in general, but I just use that as an example.
I actually said that to somebody recently. I asked them to cook, and it was like, you pushing it, but they cooked. And when I got there, first of all, food was good, but I was also like, it wasn't even about the food. It was about your willingness. And it wasn't necessarily a test. Like, I wasn't testing. I really wanted some food. But I was also like, I appreciate you.
Yeah. Real talk. Real talk.
Because I know her enough to know she would have loved to just Hello Fresh it.
Yeah.
But
for me, a deal breaker is drama, right? If I can sense you orbit around drama and you don't know how to navigate to get back to peace, deuces slim.
that is actually my deal breaker, but I normally just classify it as sabotaging.
Hey, what if she has the willingness to try and find that peace, but she's not there yet? Yeah. Like, what if your purpose, generally speaking, not you specifically, but what if your purpose with her is to help her find her way, like to peace?
The question,
like, your purpose.
I love that question,
and I respect that, but the question, without trying to be long about it, was my deal breaker. Yeah, and for my deal breaker, like I gotta have like we talking about standards and expectations, and everybody got a line, right?
So you saying God will push you with a woman who's growing in that area?
Yeah. I gotta navigate other areas. Well, you know what I'm saying?
What I would say to that though is that that's not necessarily a deal breaker. However, that is a red flag, and a red flag does not necessarily mean that you cannot proceed with that person. It just means that you have to stop at that point, and it may be stopping to seek counsel. It may be stopping for her to seek independent therapy.
Yeah.
It may be stopping to unpack past traumas.
Yeah.
But that is a true identifier that's a red flag. You need to stop.
Yeah. You gotta remember, I said if she orbit around drama. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're choosing to orbit, and then even you choose to, you don't know how to navigate out of it though. But like, you're choosing it. You can choose not to because you don't know how to navigate, get there. But if you in it, like, I'll run to the drama myself. But I know how to get out of it.
People are part of their environment.
No, respect. All right, let's do it. Why do men choose to cheat? I get this.
Is that it? Oh.
Hey, listen. Operative word, no bullshit. Operative word, choose. Because it's always a choice. Who taking this one, black
I
man?
don't know.
Black men don't cheat.
Next question.
We ain't got time to answer this one.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you that. I just want to I'll give context for it because I used to say it all the time when I was married. I honestly believe, and this is my opinion, if you do not have a higher moral force grounding, stopping you or keeping you connected to that commitment you make with a person, you gonna cheat, man or woman, because there's too many temptations in front of you. You know what I'm saying? There's a saying, a scripture that I said that I love that says, when Satan wants you, he hides in all of the places that you can't see, right? Mm-hmm. Behind you, in front of you, beneath you, underneath your nose. He attacks all of your desires. And if you don't have a higher level or a higher power that you submit to, then, or a higher, something higher within you that causes you to be in integrity with your commitments, how do you not cheat?
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna try to make it advice, like for this person or for some men out there. I believe that the root of all evil and sin is selfishness. Right? That's just my theory. I've been testing and collecting data over the years, but I believe selfishness is at the root of all sin. Right? Whether it's cheating or whatever the case is. So that's the why. But what I'll also say, like I just said earlier, like people are a product of their environment. So if you're struggling with cheating, so maybe this is the advice for men. If you're struggling with being faithful, you think it's just unrealistic and impossible, take a look at the environment you surround yourself with, the people you connected to, what you feed yourself in music and movies and what you're reading. Like, if cheating is all around you, you're going to be a cheater.
Yeah. I would say that, why men choose to cheat is just a true identifier of a void that is trying to be filled within them. Similar to promiscuity, similar to habitual spenders that aren't good with their money. You're trying to fill a void. The problem is that you are throwing pebbles in a Grand Canyon, right? Mm-hmm. With your choice. It's not going to fill the void. But that's just an identifier that there is a void right there that they're trying to fill.
I call that, and mine was they cheat. They choose to cheat because they find it's an inability for them to heal in that space, whether or not, right, or heal from an insecurity, right? So it could be the space they're in that they don't feel like this is a healing space from an insecurity they may not even know they have, right? But they feel like they're not healing from this insecurity, so they think the better place to heal is outside, and that's what they do.
Hey, do you have a sermon on that? Because that'll preach, bro. Like that Grand Canyon analogy, the pebble?
I actually do.
Oh, hey, I felt like
I actually do.
Oh, all right, I'm gonna help you go first.
Oh, it's on me now.
That was a good question.
Yeah, straight to it.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't men share the responsibility of keeping a running list of what's needed for the children? My wife asked this.
Clearly. Maybe.
Why don't men share the responsibility of keeping a running list of what's needed for the children?
Because we got to run a list of everything else. How about that?
Yeah.
How about we good men out here?
Nah, you put that out first, Negro.
No,
I'm not gonna say wife. I'm
I'm gonna let y'all answer.
Yeah, no, I'm just
I can't relate. I got a list.
Yeah, I can't relate, and not even to try to moonwalk around this question, but I got 4 kids, so I really don't have no choice but to be involved. Yeah. And it's a set of a 1 and a 3-year-old and an 11 and 13-year-old. Yeah. So we all over the board with it.
I don't keep the running list, and that's not my place. That's not my role. So that's why I don't keep the running list.
What is your?
My running list is tallying up them coins and making sure the house is where it need to be. So go do your part and make sure these kids where they need to be, and I'm gonna play my part as the dad gang and do what I need to do.
But look, something just came to me though. A word of advice: women, you all run the house. Y'all have so much more power than you may even think or utilize, but figure out how your man best communicates and communicate in his language. For me,
Mm-hmm.
if you create a to-do list and I can just check the boxes and it needs to be visual so I can walk past it and touch it and it remains in my mind if it's something I need to do, that works for me.
Yeah, no gender roles. Like whatever works for you and your situation works for you. Whether it's marriage, whether it's baby mother, baby father, like what works for you works for you. Like y'all gotta communicate and figure that out. It might be y'all need to share responsibility. It might be like I'm gonna take care of this, you take care of that. Just figure out what works for you. All right, let's get through some more of these. I gotta make sure I can read hand. Okay. Oh, if your woman is the breadwinner, does that play on the man's ego and his role as a provider? I'm gonna answer for myself. Yes, it may very well may.
Ooh.
It very well may. Not saying it's a problem, but it may. It for most men, I think that there's something internal that they're going to struggle with if they're not the breadwinner in the household. If we're honest.
Nah, I disagree. For me personally.
For you
For
personally.
you personally,
Yeah,
yeah,
for
most
yeah.
Yeah, but yes, but that just maybe that's a whole nother episode. But we have to eliminate our egos because your ego is going to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Men, especially black men, we are in a foreign land. We have to understand that there is power in community. There is power in how we come together as a village. And we have to also understand that we really don't have the luxury of holding on to baggage like insecurities, ego, so on and so forth. I cannot wait until the day that I walk into my house and it feel like one of them African weddings where my wife is just showering me with money that she done made. Like, give it to me, baby. I'll take it.
I mean, I love that perspective. I want to say this though too. Like, of course we know it's our ego why you can't do that, but the question on the other side is, right? What's the question? I want to get it verbatim.
If she's the breadwinner, does it play on the man's ego
All right.
and his role as a provider?
So it can, as Colin responded, but my question to that for the sister who wrote it is: if you are the breadwinner woman, does it play on your ego? Do you use that as validation for leadership in the household above or beyond what's actually going to work for the relationship? Because a man not making as much money as you doesn't change his role and how he cares and protects and provides.
Should.
Right?
Should.
It shouldn't, right?
Should.
So if he's still carrying that posture as a man, you know, of course you making more money as a woman may change the dynamic of how he feels, and we hope he cannot be in his ego about it. But I also want to know, does that change the dynamic of how you feel? Do you now move
I
different?
want to offer some advice because to me that's what's happening in our community. Black women are making more money than black men, right?
Yeah.
So does it hurt the ego? Yeah, and does it hurt their role as a provider? Yes. My solution or feedback or suggestion is tell him how he can then provide, right? Articulate to him like, all right, I know, you know what I'm saying, you don't make the most money, but I'm with you because of X, Y, and Z. So then you affirm his space of support and security and provision and all of that, man. But yeah.
And my advice, last thing I'll say, my advice to the man in that situation is be real with yourself. Because personal, like there's been times in my marriage where she's been the breadwinner, where I've been the breadwinner, we got even, right? And in those moments where it wasn't, internally I was dealing with something. Logically, it is what it is, but internally, and I had to be honest with myself to say, hey, I need to like unpack this. I need to vent to somebody to help me process what I'm dealing with. Maybe you need therapy, but like you gotta be honest with yourself. Because if not, if you suppress it, it's gonna come out in unhealthy ways.
And you know the beauty of affirmation, the beauty of Ali calling that, right, to affirm your husband for the reason why you're with him. The beauty of affirmation is that it goes both ways, right? When you affirm somebody else, you not only highlight for them why you really love them, but you also remind yourself why you love them. So you can stay focused on that, right? So when the woman's saying, hey, baby, I love you for this. I'm with you for this, right? I want to see you provide in this way too when you get there, but I love you and I'm here for this and this is how you showing up for me. You stop paying attention to the fact that you ain't making as much as you too.
Respect. We got time for
We got one more.
Let's do one more. I think it may be on you, Yusha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, your question.
I just did it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Let me see if I can shake this joint up a little.
Yeah, man, let's get a little. We might have to go set the Patreon.
All right, let's see. when initially dating, how many dates is acceptable for just a man to pay? When initially dating, how many dates is it acceptable for just a man to pay?
I'm out here. Y'all want me to get in this one?
Talk about it.
There is no number. As a matter of fact, most men don't even care if you pay or not. What they want is the gesture. Let me cover this one. And they may let you cover it. They may be like, yeah, that's what's up. Or they may be like, nah, that's okay. But if you never offer, that also sends a signal to it, right? So it's not the belief that like, oh man, after 3 dates of paying, you need to jump in. But it's also like you want to go out every week. Part of you knowing how to be financially, like you having some financial is understanding that we going out every week, that's hitting my pockets. Yeah. And I'm down for the work, that's why I'm dating. But I'm also saying like, if you offer, that makes me feel like you care about what's happening to me.
That's the preference though that I heard, is that like if you desire, like, are we going out every week, this, that, and the third. For me, I don't really have the desire for the woman to offer unless she is the one that is inviting me out, right? If I'm inviting her out, I already got that calculated, budgeted, we good. That's why I'm asking you. But if you asking me out or you have a desire to go out all the time, yeah, we gotta figure something out. We gotta figure, because it ain't about to go. Not with me as a single man. I'm married, but as a single man, you might be disappointed with that one.
How much a nice date costs? Like what, 200? At least like 150, 200.
Depending on where you live at.
We in the DMV.
Yeah.
Boy, so you dating, if you're going on two, 3 a month, like
I think it's interesting because we getting a real live example of what the gap is, and I'm gonna get off this because the question before that was about him not being a breadwinner, and then the next question is, well, how many times is he gonna pay? Right. Mm-hmm. So like the gap, like in these questions coming from you understand what I'm saying? So like if he ain't the breadwinner, does he have to pay?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna get off this.
Does he have?
Then how many times does he have to pay until we realize you the breadwinner in this situation?
And if you want these level of restaurants,
I'm just.
Well, sister told me, she was like, that's part of one of the ways they use, especially in the dating world, to understand if a man is financially stable, if he can continue to, cover in that space. So I'm like, yo, if a man is going out with you every week and spending $200, $300, $400 every week, you're not learning if he's financially stable. You're learning if he's financially unresponsible. Yeah, like you can't. Don't keep that up.
Yo, for sure. Look, yo, these questions we're getting a lot more in depth and in more detail. What I want to do, right, is I'm gonna tell y'all what's on this Patreon, and we not gonna answer, but here's a sneak peek. Do men find pleasure in getting your nipples sucked? Hey. I got a lot to say about that one, Chad.
Go back to our day. Put that back in. If you want to answer the question on your own, go back to our icebreakers and see who answered the most previous. And you going up.
Hey, but we will come back to these. Like when we came up with this segment of what women want to know from men, we said that this is going to be a series. So we'll hold on to these questions. We will be coming back. Right now, we're going to